Hey, thanks for joining me again for Relax and Craft Time. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits, and I'm here every weeknight for about an hour at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's the time when we can relax and craft and just work on a project together from beginning to end. And I'm currently working on the Charming Chevrons quilt by Krista Watson of Krista Quilts. And we are at the quilting stage, so we are going to stitch in the ditch of some zigzags tonight again. Last time we were here was on Friday, and I oiled up the machine. We ran out of bobbin thread, so we got that all prepped, and now we're going to just start in the middle of the row where we left off and see how far we can get tonight. So thanks for joining me again, guys. Just so you know, tomorrow I will be out. My husband is showing his short film. It's screening, so we will be at that tomorrow night. But I will try and take some pictures and show you that as well. I'm excited. All right, I'm gonna flip you guys around. Hello, hello. Let's get going for the evening. I got my blue blocking lenses on again with my crazy like 80s lenses. I love them. All right. Anyway, flipping you around. All right, back at the machine. Here we are. Oops. Sorry, let me tweak this a little bit. All right, here we go. Okay, so here's where we left off. This is where the bobbin ran out, and we just we started sewing to get it back to where we were. So we should be ready to just sew. Everything is good to go. We are going really well on here. It took 9 zigzag lines, so 9 of these full lines. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. It took 9 of those before our bobbin ran out, so that's a good sign. I can't remember. I think there were 21 of these lines that we had to do, but that seems like, well, yeah, I suppose that seems about right. So, all right, I'm going to bring you guys down here, and we'll get started sewing tonight. Oh, I just started wearing them, Gretchen, again. I'm trying to sleep a little bit better, and I know that blue light from, phones and everything in the evening can affect sleep. Like, it can sometimes make you, like, your body want to sleep like a couple hours later than it should. And my lights, I'm staring at a phone right now to read you guys' comments. And I gotta get a little taller here so I can see the sewing machine. But I also have LED lights shining on me, so I'm getting blasted with blue LED light right now, right before going to bed. So I thought it better be smart to start wearing them. They are blue light, yes. So if you do a search for blue light blocking glasses, or even just like computer glasses, you'll probably see something. I think I have a link to where I got these from. They don't have these ones anymore. I got this on one of those cheap, like super cheap glasses online. There's a lot of online glasses placed now. You can even put in your prescription and stuff. So, but it's like a big changeover of styles. So they don't have this style anymore, which I don't know how many people would want this style anyway. They're pretty goofy, these glasses that I got, but I got them just because they were so goofy. I like them. But they have a ton, just a huge selection. So I got them from Firmoo. That's Firmoo. I think I have a link here to them. I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but that's where I got them on one of these online glasses place. So mine doesn't have a prescription, but you can order them with a prescription. But yeah, so I'm giving it a test. Oh, you can fall asleep right in front of the computer, Paula? Oh man. Yeah. I wish. Falling asleep is not a very good, I don't have that talent of easily falling asleep, so I'm trying to get better at that, and trying to solve that issue the best I can. So I'm trying to do more little tricks to do that, and if one of them is these blue light blocking glasses, then that's one of them. I just, I haven't been sleeping well since it got super hot outside, but now we have the air conditioner in and everything, and I've been sleeping a little bit better, which is nice. You should have like a cooler room. They actually recommend like a 65-degree room, which is super chilly, for optimal falling asleep and staying asleep. So it's a little cooler. It's not that cool in our room, just because the air conditioner can only do so much. It was 100 degrees in the very literal sense. It was 100 degrees here yesterday. I took a screen capture of my my phone. So yes, I'm up north in Minnesota, but we get the 100-degree weather here too every once in a while, and it's not dry. It is 100-degree and with humidity weather, and it's mid-90s all week. You can fall asleep but have a hard time staying asleep. I hear you with that, Joe. I still recommend this book. I just finished it. Oh, I probably still have the link in this Facebook. Oh God, now what is it called? Why We Sleep? I think that's what it was called. Why We Sleep. My favorite book of the year so far. I totally recommend it. It's all kind of like the science behind sleep, from a sleep scientist who studies it and runs experiments and stuff. Ooh, do you guys hear that? We're a little thundery tonight, so it's been kind of raining off and on this late afternoon. We are actually in a thunderstorm warning for 30 minutes, and the warning was like, 1-inch size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds and stuff. Luckily, I think I don't think we did miss that because we got no hail, thank goodness. But we did see the black clouds kind of rolling, and now it's a little thundery outside. So it's that time of year, and that's also why we're trying to figure out how to get that tree cut down in our yard too before something like before we get like tons of rain and then the ground is saturated and then some wind comes and blows over all the trees. We don't want that to happen. Our tree's in kind of poor shape in front. Noeline, we didn't get it completely sorted yet, but we do have we're on it. We got my husband did a bunch of research, and he contacted 3 places for quotes, and I guess they come out and they take a look at the tree, and then they go back, and then they write you back with a quote. So they should be coming out this week, and just to check it out. And then we'll have quotes hopefully by the end of the week, and then hopefully we can just take care of it. I hope it's not a long thing, because I don't know, that's what I'm worried about. It's just getting eaten more and more up, and it's, who knows, it's probably hollow. I know it's full of scary alien-looking grubs that are huge and scary and gross and icky. I know it's full of those, because when the tree branch fell a while back, that was a couple of years ago actually, it was full of grubs. Yuck. Oh, you had 3 inches in 24 hours this weekend. Oh my goodness. And the state park less than half a mile from you is closed. Oh, I'm completely underwater from the river. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of water quickly, Holly. Yeah, I know around here when sometimes in the summer there'll be storms where tons of trees and branches come down, and it's always like a long day of rain and then another day of rain with wind when the ground is completely saturated, and then it gets really windy. So I don't, it's that time of year, and I don't want that. Yeah, I'll sleep better when that tree's gone. We would love to plant like a river birch or something in its place. Anyway, I think that'd be just cuter. Just be one thing off of our home list to do. Oh, they took down your tree in one day. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I'm hoping it's something like that. I'm hoping, you know, I'm hoping that's part of the quote is like how or the earliest they can come out and do it. And, you know, that might be a big part of the decision making is like how quick you can just get it done. I'm just hoping it's not $1 bajillion, but I suppose it's still better than, you know, a tree falling on the house in the middle of a storm. Ugh, it's expensive, Sue. Well, we'll see how it goes. This is going smoothly. I'm definitely getting used to this. You notice I switched back to the grippets today. On Friday, I believe, I was trying some gloves with the little grippy bottoms. It actually worked well too. I mean, you know, I think it's totally up to personal preference. These are a little thicker because they're used for cutting, so I don't cut myself with a rotary cutter if I'm doing a lot of cutting. So they're a little thicker. The grips are great on it though. I'm not using them today just because it is 90 degrees here, or like it's probably high 80s right now still. And it's pretty steamy in the house, and just the idea of putting gloves on, I don't want to do that. So switching to the grippets again. The only difference really is, you know, that when I get to this point, I got to move my grippet somewhere, whereas the glove, I could just leave it on. But at the same time, with the glove, I have to wear a glove. So one trade-off for another. But I'm excited for the grippets when we start the free motion quilting, because I'd love to try and, you know, use the angles, use the edges of this. For some ruler work, giving that a go. Oh, Nolene, you got your grippets! Yay! You'll have to let me know how you like them once you start using them. I think it's pretty slick that you have a choice that you don't actually have to wear those gloves. Well, I've been away for some time. Hey, Patricia! Oh, look at you go. Yep, we are cruising on this quilt. It's coming along for sure. I'm actually pretty surprised at how quickly these zigzags are going. I could have sworn this was going to take us like months to do these zigzags, but really I think it's going to take about 2 weeks, or like I don't know. We're going to get done with it pretty quick here. We just have 2 more zigzags on this side of it. So sometime I won't be here tomorrow, but on Thursday, we will get done with this side, and we'll be moving to the other edge, the other side of the quilt that we didn't finish doing. We started in the middle, kind of generally in the middle. I don't think we started exactly in the middle, but about in the middle, so we have the other side to do. But we actually did more on this side, so the other side will go a lot quicker. All right. Oh, you live in Alberta, and wondered where your rain went. Came over to us. Oh gosh, but yeah, we don't always get the 100-degree weather. And it's still May even, you know. We don't always get the 100-degree weather, but every once in a while, every other year or so, we'll get the super 90s weather and hit 100 yesterday. it rained in the afternoon yesterday, which I'm sure was a bummer for anyone who was out doing, you know, Memorial Day stuff. But for us here, we just kind of chilled and stayed inside. We just couldn't go outside. It was too hot. But we did wake up early and go for a walk before the heat. But I'm glad we had an air-conditioned house to come to. Our big Memorial Day weekend thing was we planted the garden. So, Robin's asking, what is John's short film about? It's funny because it's 90 degrees here, and his film is about, it's kind of like a slightly in the future film where a son and a dad and the family are trying to survive in like negative, you know, bajillion degrees winter. So it's based in winter. We shot it in 20 degree and lower weather in the snow. So it's going to be like a shock to the system watching it tomorrow. At least we'll be watching it in an air-conditioned theater. But it's like the opposite weather as now. So it's a survival, like a winter survival story. It's a little short film. The kid growing up and having to take care of the family in a harsh climate. But yeah, I think it's about 13 minutes long or so, something like that. But it is, I was thinking about it today, I'm like, it's going to be so weird watching it, and it's just a white snow as far as you can see, basically. Rolling hills of white snow with the dad and son trudging through it. Yes, that's what we're the most excited about, Nolene. Just seeing it on the big screen. It played at a different film festival earlier, and it was projected large, but this time it'll be on an actual in a theater, so an actual large big screen. So it'll be our first time seeing it super duper big. It's part of the shorts program of the Twin Cities Film Festival here. Ha! Yeah, Gretchen, that'd be nice. Next up, can. The con. It's catching on my table a little bit more. My extension table here. Ooh, and speaking of quilts, I also this weekend finished binding my Splendid Sampler quilt. So technically my quilt is finished, my Splendid Sampler, the Splendid Sampler 1 quilt. I think I still need to, the only thing that I have to do yet is make a label. And that is a thing that I normally would just totally forget because I'd just be moving on by then. But after you guys mentioning it a bunch of times, I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I can't forget to do that. So I am going to make a label. I think the label might be my Finish It Friday project. So I think I might embroider it. And I have an idea of how to stick it on. So I think I'm going to embroider it on a separate piece of fabric, and then I'm going to do like this fusible where you turn it, where you cut a hole in the fusible and turn it right side out. So I think, and then you fuse it down and then stitch it. I think I'm going to start that process on Friday because it's Finish It Friday again. So Finish It Friday is the first Friday of the month. we stop working on whatever project we're currently doing, and we break out an unfinished project and try and get a little further on that, just like 1 month at a time, 1 hour of 1 day of 1 month at a time. Finish it Friday. So it will be June on Friday, so that'll be the first Friday of the month. But yeah, so I'll be making a label for my Splendid Sampler quilt, so you can kind of see my plan for that. Oh, Debbie, this is a Grip It. It's by Sewing Mates. So if you can see right there, Sewing Mates, and then you throw .com at the end there. And it actually comes as a pair. But so you can use it for free motion quilting. You put them both down. They have little rubbers on the bottom and these little nubbins on the top, which are nice because then you can just like barely touch, and you have something to push against. But it's for like free motion quilting, and we'll be doing it later. For this the quilting that we're doing now, it's been easier for me to use one of the Grip Its in my left hand, and then I just hold the roll in or the mashup of the rest of my fabric in my right hand. So that's what I'm doing here. But yeah, I do have a link to these, I think a direct link to the Grip Its, but if you go to Sewing Mates, and then I think it's under a tab of quilting accessories, I think it's under there. Am I supposed to pick a design for free motion quilting? As it pertains to what I'm going to be doing for this quilt, no. So my plan for this is, okay, first of all, I don't know how to free motion quilt, and that's why I'm doing this quilt. It's going to be my learning quilt, so I can practice and learn how to free motion quilt. And what I'm doing now is just stitching in the ditch. It kind of makes sense. Because what I'm going to ultimately do is I want to do my free motion quilting in all these patterned areas, and I thought it'd be nice to kind of frame those areas with the stitching these zigzags first. And what this is also going to do by stitching these zigzags, it's going to hold down these areas so my fabric's not shushing all over the place while I free motion quilt. So it's going to kind of stabilize the area that we're going to free motion quilt. I am not doing all one design for this. I'm going to use Krista's book as a guide, and I have a link to that book here. Krista's the designer of this pattern, and I'm going to use some of the designs that she has in her book to attempt to free motion. But we have a lot of these little stripes. I think there's 11, and we'll make some decisions. So there's some ways that you can test, like you can put a piece of paper on top and kind of doodle designs first, and we'll do a lot of that. And I'm going to have a separate little piece of fabric with batting that we can test some designs first before jumping into the quilt. Oh yeah, so Linda, that's a great idea. So freezer paper. So I do have freezer paper. I'll get that out, and then we can start. It's a little see-through, so we can start playing with different ideas. We'll probably just keep it really simple to start because, like I said, I'm totally learning. I tested on a little piece of fabric once, and that's really it. So I mean, there's some places to start, like meandering or stippling, where you just kind of squiggle around, and then there's where you go in little loops and try and just fill in the space. We will try some of those, and just like going up and down and up and down and up and down. I mean, we'll try a lot of that basic stuff. Just hopefully the plan is that I get a little comfortable in that stuff. And once we've done some beginning things, then we'll try and get more decorative and play with ideas. So then we'll get our freezer paper out, and then really, I could see, some pretty, loopy things, or like petal-like things at these corners. I like, because we can play with this zigzag too, or like, I don't know, some I would like, you know, feathers. We can even try those. Circles, like something like this would be really pretty. So we will just experiment. So there is no one kind of free motion quilting. And like I said, I want to play with the rulers, see if we can get used to using rulers. It's literally going to be a full-on experiment, and it's just going to be trying to learn. I'm going to use all different colors of thread, so you can. There's two ways of thinking about it. You either want your quilting to kind of blend in or stand out, and mine's going to kind of blend in a little bit and stand out in other ways. So I'm going to only be, at least this is my idea right now, I'm only going to be free motion quilting in the patterned areas. So I think that's going to automatically hide my stitching a little bit because I'm just going to add more pattern to all the pattern. And I'm going to be doing it in like reds and blues and purples, kind of. So it'll mimic a lot of what's happening in this pattern area. And again, I am using just thread that I have for the sake of I like using up stuff that I have. I'm using 30 weight thread, which is a little thicker. That's thicker than what we normally piece with. And that thicker thread is going to make the quilting stand out a little bit more, and you'll be able to see it. So in some ways I'm hiding the quilting, and in other ways I'm showing it off a little bit. I do want to see the quilting because I want to see if I learned anything along the way. Like I want to see row number 1 and compare it to row 11 and see if there was improvement, and you know, I'm hoping there is, right? So the color thread is entirely up to you. I know that Krista often, from what I've seen of her quilts, she likes using a variegated color thread, which is variegated meaning like the colors change in the thread, and that is awfully pretty. Her quilts using the variegated thread. If you want your quilting completely hidden and you don't even want to know it's quilted, I would just stitch in the ditch like what I'm doing and then call it a day. Or if you want it more hidden, maybe like, you know, for this red, for example, maybe I would just use red thread in the red. So it's just kind of, it's kind of just what you end up choosing to do. And, you know, it's going to be one of those things where like at some point it's just like, okay, I just have to make a decision and live with it. Oh yeah, you can definitely change colors along the way if you want. I'm going to just go until my thread runs out if that happens, and then switch colors at that point. We'll see how that goes. Nolene, you saw that if you get a large sketch pad, thick pen, and practice your designs over and over to get the movement in your head before you start. I think that's a great suggestion, Nolene, and I think we will look into a lot of that, like all the practice stuff, because I do want to jump right in, but you know, I do want those little practice bits. So I'm not gonna practice forever. I am gonna jump in and stitch, but yeah, I you know, I do want to practice a little bit here and there. It'll probably be quick practices and then testing it out. And if it looks totally wonky, I'm kind of okay with that because like I said, I do want to kind of see my progress. This isn't going to be a perfect quilt. This is, like I said, a learning quilt for me. And, you know, I love learning while making something versus just a bunch of little tests. So, Yeah, I think that's a good idea though. I'll have a pad of paper or something and markers and stuff near me so we can kind of test. The other kind of funny thing is that when you practice, you kind of want to, from what I've read and stuff, I've seen people, oh, we could try that. I could try taping a marker to the sewing machine here, and because the thing is you're not moving the pen, right? You're moving the fabric. So we could tape a pen or tape a marker here and then move paper underneath, and that would give us a little idea, and then it'd be on the same surface and stuff. That might be kind of fun. I like that idea. But yeah, then we can give it a little practice, especially on more difficult things. Ooh, almost dropped my grip it on the ground. One of the things in the back of my head that is a little, a fear of free motion quilting for me is getting stuck somewhere, like in the sense of like, what if I get stuck here and it's like, oh man, how do I get back over here? You know what I mean? I'm scared of getting caught in a corner and like in a design and not knowing how to get out of there. So I'm hoping that I can get over that fear. The other fear is dealing with all this bulk. But I gotta tell you, after doing this zigzag, I'm feeling a little more comfortable with that already. And it might still be holding the bulk in one hand and the grip it in the other, and I don't know. But I'm definitely feeling a little more comfortable with the bulk, although I am just moving in a straight line and stopping often. But I don't know. We will see how it goes. I'm just hoping to start somewhere and get better from that point. That's all. But yeah, that is the real goal of this quilt. With every project that I do, I love learning new things and new techniques. So there's always usually some sort of experiment happening when I make something. And in this case, the biggest experiment is just, learning how to free motion quilt. The mystery that I have not solved yet. The crafting mystery. That looks like fun. I'd like to, it's all about having more options, right? You can, more options, more creative options when it comes to things. So if I can free motion quilt, then, then there's a whole world of quilting possibilities that I don't have access to right now since I don't know how to free motion quilt. Like, I would love to draw little designs and, I don't know. I think it's one of those things I would like to be less scary in my brain. Giving over all those fears, right? At least that's the goal. Who knows? Maybe I'll even be more scared by the time this thing's done, but if it just all goes crappy. But, in the end, I think it's impossible not to learn something, even if it's learning that I hate free motion quilting and I'm never going to do it again. That's a valuable thing I would have learned, right? Hoping it doesn't come to that. Okay, I'm hoping I don't have to unpin this pin. It's kind of in my way. All right, good. You think I'll be hooked once you start? I hope so, because I've been making a lot of quilts lately. And it'd be fun to play around with them a little bit more. I never thought I'd be making this many quilts. Oh, you know what? We have lost our thread. When did that happen? All right. Groan. My thread came out of the machine for some reason. How far back? Look, I can just pull it off the machine right here. I don't have a ton of distance to go anymore. Oh, I'm still attached with the bobbin. Weird. Did the thread break, or was I just not paying attention? Let's see, we got to go back to here, it looks like. All right, let's get this threaded. Oh, here's what happened. This happens every once in a while. Look what happened here. The thread popped out of here and it got caught in this plate here. So, oh yeah, we're totally stuck in there. Boo! All right, so the tension, so it was completely stuck, so the tension just got too much and the thread broke. So I'm gonna just cut it clean so I know that I'm not in that like stretched area. And it's one of the bummers about this machine that happens every once in a while. Like it'll pop out of here. Here, I'm gonna just back up so you guys can watch rethreading. And it is still fuzzy. So even though we switched to that 90-12 needle, you know what? Since we were stopped, I'm gonna just brush this out a little bit. And so that makes me think that it's not the needle, it's probably this thread. So this is the Madeira cotton thread, and it is fuzzing up quite a bit when we're stitching. And so that it might be just the brand. I know a lot of people have told me that Aurifil thread does not get fuzzy like this very often. Oh, some people put clear tape over this before free motion quilting. Oh, over the plate, over here. Yeah, we're gonna have to deal with the feed dogs too eventually here because my feed dogs don't go down. So I have a few suggestions on how to deal with that. So we might test out a pile of those as well. All right, we're back in business. Okay, let's get situated again here. All right, and again, we kind of left off. Just gonna try and grab the ends here. Get under there. All right, about right here. Glad we caught that earlier than later. Just trying to resituate my quilt over here. Oh yeah, that's the one thing. Take breaks with the free motion quilting. That's what I've heard as well. And you know, I'm really well. Even doing this, I'm gonna just back tack it. So I'm gonna go. Geez, I'm just losing my mind. I forgot where the reverse was on my machine for a second. I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, that's what I've heard too. Is it's a lot of pressure on the shoulders and arms and everything, and that's why I'm happy that I only work on this in the evenings here. So and it's only for about an hour. So I'm not doing like a 6-hour marathon of quilting or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I think this hour is just enough time, and then I can stretch a little bit, and yeah. Oh, where the thread catches, where I don't want to get snagged. So Nolene, you said to tape this down, so when I'm free motion quilting, it doesn't go. I think that's probably a very good idea. I wonder if there's a way. I wonder if I can almost just caulk around it, like, or put some glue around it. Because I don't want to get it caught on tape either. Caulk would look pretty weird though, I think, but it would slide off it maybe. That doesn't happen all that often, but every once in a while, I'll be like, what's going on? Why is my thread being weird? And it'll be caught on something like that. Annoying. At least it didn't take us that long to figure out what was going on. Man, I'm getting my pins real close here. see, how much longer on this? I'd like to hope that we can maybe try and start one more row tonight, but I think I actually have quite a ways to go on this one yet. We'll see when I'm done here. And then it's just, yeah, it's just two more lines on this side. One chevron line. 2 more sides of that chevron to do. Then it's to the opposite side. Well, I'm going to flip it around when we're done here again, though. I haven't checked out the back in a while, and I like looking at the back because that's where you can see all these zigzags. You know, I'm stitching in the ditch on the front, which means I'm just stitching, you know, in between the seams, so you can't really see where I'm sewing all that much, which is the point. You're kind of hiding your quilting. But on the back, you'll be able to see all the lines, kind of shadowy. Oh yeah, that's true. It'd be sad if it snagged if I were doing like a big sweeping motion or something. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. Maybe we can test it with some tape while we're still doing these and see if that works before we get to the free motion. Man, it's so fuzzy. It'll be good when I can wash this guy. So with the Splendid Sampler quilt, I want to get that label stitched on, and then I think I'll take some good photos of it. Well, I don't know, as best as I can, just on the floor photos. And then I think I'm gonna give it a wash because I wanna see. To me, after the wash, that's when the quilt's completely done. But that'll be nice. That'll be officially done. So I am going to work on the Splendid Sampler 2. I don't know if you guys heard that. I am going to do the Splendid Sampler 2 during these Facebook Lives. We are going to work on our other projects, including this and a few smaller projects that I wanted to do in conjunction. So what I'm thinking is, with the Splendid Sampler 2, every block comes out once a week, not twice a week like the last one. So that'll be good. Every block comes out on a Thursday, so I think maybe Thursdays and Fridays, except for Finish It Friday, but Thursdays and Fridays will be our Splendid Sampler days, and then these other days we can work on our other projects. I think that might be the plan. Oh yeah, I thought about that today, Deborah. I gotta remember to put color catchers into the washing machine when I wash the Splendid Sampler for the first time. Especially that one has a lot of dark blues in. And this one for sure, with all this red. Red is, not all the time, but red is a color that has a tendency to bleed. Yay, so I will, I'm hoping to do, time keeps catching up to me, but I'm hoping to do some videos before the Splendid Sampler gets started. I want to pick my fabrics and all that. So it starts on the 14th, I believe, of June, so that's like 2 weeks from now. And this time it says, I read through the description and it said that you need about 40 fat quarters, but for the last quilt, I had 30 or maybe a little less. Some of mine were fat eighths. I did add to it a little bit along the way, but I don't know. So maybe I will pick between 35 and 40 fat quarters. I do have, I'm going to choose from what I have here. I'm not going to purchase anything new. And so it's going to be kind of a challenge of what 40 fat quarters do I pick out? One a week would be 2 years. See, that's where the question mark is in my head, Joe. Is this really going to be a 2-year project? But I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, so there's 100 blocks total. I'm going to just get rid of more of this fuzz. So yeah, it might be kind of a long stitch along, and that's why I don't, you know, we're gonna take time to do other projects too. The first time we did the Splendid Sampler, it was kind of all encompassing. But it's a good learning tool, and I think I'm, well, I know for sure that I'm better at a lot of those techniques than when I did the Splendid Sampler 1. So I feel like I'm capable of teaching those techniques a little bit better than before. So that's why I'm excited for the Splendid Sampler as well, because I'll be able to tackle a lot of the new fun quilty techniques along the way. So if there's, and if it's anything like the first Splendid Sampler, it's going to have everything quilting related as far as techniques and the styles and stuff. So if you are unsure about applique or how to foundation paper piece, how to do an intricate foundation paper piece, how to English paper piece, how to just you know, make these origami shapes and stuff that some of the designs had last time. You know, we had a Dresden plate last time. Like, there's so many. Well, and then just like typical quilting blocks, like how do you do a log cabin quilting block, or flying geese, or bear claws. You know, there's all these names and stuff. So embroidery, you know. There's everything. So if you want a project where you are going to get a full-on education in everything related to quilting, to piecing, to making little quilt blocks, then this is like a totally good project for that. It is a commitment. However, it's only as big of a commitment as you want to make it, because you know, you can make whatever blocks you want. A lot of people didn't make a whole quilt out of it. They just made like table runners and little wall hangings and or a baby size quilt. My quilt that I did for the first round ended up being a queen size quilt size, and I put all 100 blocks, and I actually put 110 blocks in mine. But anyway, so if you want to hang out for a while and take your time to do a big quilt along, and I think there's about 50,000 people in the Facebook group for the Splendid Sampler. So I would 100% say go join the Splendid Sampler Facebook group if you're planning on participating at all. It's a huge group of great people where you can really, everyone posts, you don't have to, but people post their blocks that they're working on, and it's just to see how many ways people can interpret one design, you know, just how changing the color of fabrics can change the look and feel. I mean, it's just so cool to see. And people give out tips and what's working for them and what's not. And anyway, it's like I said, as much of a commitment as you want to make it. But I just found it, for me, I wanted to learn more about how to do all those techniques. Quilting techniques with the first time around, and the second time around I'm going to film all the blocks again, and I think I'll be a little bit better at those techniques, and the videos will be a little bit better too. For the Splendid Sampler 1, that was 2 years ago or so, and that was like right at the beginning of live video in the world, sort of, and I think we got it looking a little bit better since then, so hopefully they'll be a little easier to follow. If you got the book, have you joined? Yes, so there's no real joining. You don't have to like be part of a club or anything. I do recommend going to the Splendid Sampler Facebook page and joining that page. And they will be releasing blocks on thesplendidsampler.com. So that's a blog, and all the information is there. So I would go over to thesplendidsampler.com. I do have a link here, and read up on it over there. And then I'll try and do a little overview and stuff before we get started too. Yes, it's a nice group, mostly positive, and I think they manage it that way too. Like they don't want any. They want it to be a helpful group. They don't want it like to be a judgy, whatever group. It's a safe place, basically. It's heavily moderated, and not heavily moderated as in they delete a lot of posts, but there are people moderating it. So if some not so nice stuff creeps in, it gets taken care of. So it's a good group for sure. Yeah, right now people are kind of picking their fabrics. So you can start seeing probably little picks of fabrics. That's like the first big decision, right? After deciding to do it or not. And again, you can start and stop or pick it up again later or do however many blocks. There's no commitment to have to do all 100 blocks. So how it's going to work this time is there are 20 free blocks. So 20 out of the 100 blocks are going to be free. And you'll most likely get those. It'll be a surprise. So every once a week on Thursday, we will get our new block, the instructions for the new block, and we'll download them off of thesplendidsampler.com. And then after the 20 is probably around when the book ships. So right now the book is on pre-order. And I put a link to that here too, a direct link to the Splendid Sampler 2 book. It's on pre-order, so if you pre-order that, then, then you're pre-ordered. So once the 20 free blocks are done, then the instructions will be from the book. So the so long will continue, but everyone will be using their books instead. But you'll at least get those 20 free. So if you didn't want to do the book, but you still wanted to play a little bit, then you could just do the 20. That might actually be a nice way to see if you're even interested. So do the 20 free ones, see if you want to continue, and then at that point you can purchase the book. So that makes it, an easy commitment. Because it's free up until that point. October release. Okay, so the book releases in October, and I think it'll be in November by the time those first 20 blocks are done. And all the blocks once they're in the quilt, they're 6 inches. So they're all small little blocks, and they're all their own little small pieces of art. They are each one is done by a different designer. So you get a taste of that designer's work, you get to hear a little bit about that designer, and it's as intricate or as not intricate as that designer made it. And it also depends on what technique you use, can make things go fast or slow. And I'm talking mostly about applique in that case. Like there's some applique where you can just put some fusible on the back and put it all down and then you're done. And other ways is all hand done, like needle turn applique. Some of those decisions you can make yourself, and that'll determine how long things take. But some blocks, in the last one, we got done in a day. Other blocks took us weeks to finish. But we just learned a ton along the way. Oh, that's how you found me, Deborah, with the Splendid Sampler one. Oh, that's awesome. So I did do videos for every block for the first Splendid Sampler, and I'm hoping to do, well, I'm going to do them for the Splendid Sampler 2 as well, and I'm hoping they're better and all that. So I will be here to, like, if you're nervous about doing it, I will be here through the process, and you can ask questions. If you know someone else who is interested but not sure, have them join Penguin and Fish over here, as well as the Splendid Sampler Facebook group. Then they can participate in these videos and ask questions as I make it too. So since I am only going to be doing it on Thursdays and Fridays, the blocks, some of those blocks might take, actually most of the blocks might take longer than that. So I'll probably add in some Saturday sessions here and there. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not quite sure how that'll all work out because I do want to continue our projects here. We'll still have the free motion on this quilt that we'll be doing. Plus, I wanted to do that sketchbook cover. I want to do more embroidery projects, so I want to still do those projects. We have that other quilt, the Granny Square quilt that we wanted to do. So I don't want to stop all of our projects for the Splendid Sampler, but it is going to take some time. So I think Thursdays and Fridays for sure will be the Splendid Sampler, and then Monday through Wednesday we will work on these other projects, and I may throw in a couple weekends here and there to get things done, or some bigger sessions where we get some of our unfinished blocks done. All right, guys, I think I'm going to stop there for the night here, though. We just have this one last zigzag row to do, and then I'll be rotating the whole thing, and then we'll be doing the other. Bonnie, if I didn't have all the other ones on the other side to do, yeah, I would have to get this one done tonight too because it would drive me crazy. But we do, I think, have 4 more full rows to do, so we have about 9 more of these single little lines to do yet. So we'll start here well, not tomorrow. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but on Thursday I'll start with this zigzag, and then we'll flip it around and try and get 2 more on the other side done. So that's the plan for Thursday. Again, Wednesday, tomorrow, I will be at my husband's film screening. So all right, I'm going to turn you guys around and we'll call it an evening. Hello, hello. I just think these are so funny. I kind of like wearing them just because they're so goofy. Look at, just these little side deals. It's just such a silly glasses. But all right, guys, thanks again for joining me tonight. Machine was running smoothly, which is great. And just, again, I won't be here tomorrow, but I will be back on Thursday. So be sure to join me again then at 8:30 p.m. Central. This will go up on YouTube tonight at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. So I hope you subscribe to me there. Then you'll get a notification or an email when the new video is up. And also check out the Facebook page or the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. I did a little digital drawing on my iPad today. I haven't done that in for a while. I'm still trying to learn the program. Or the app, but it's fun. It records the process as you draw something, and I drew a little doodle. Might become a embroidery pattern one of these days, so let me know what you think about that, if I should add anything to it, or if you'd like to see it as an embroidery kit, and I'll try and we'll take it to the next step, hopefully. All right, guys, have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.